Hi guys. I decided I'm going to skip over Mark, but I'm going to go ahead and do Luke. And what I really should do is find out where the nativity is and do that instead of trying to read everything. Um, but it will be interesting to read the whole book. When I say book, Matthew was a book, we'll say. Now Mark is a book, and Luke is a book, and John is a book. And some have more chapters than the others. And I was just looking it up. I got my glasses off. Okay, so there's 24 chapters in Luke. And somewhere in there is the Nativity. And you know what? It might be in the very beginning because it's Jesus' birth, which is the beginning of the record. They all cover different things, so that will be interesting. So, good morning, people. Never know who to believe. I haven't drank coffee my whole life, okay, except for, I can't say that. Growing up in the church, coffee was a no-no, so we didn't drink coffee. And then coffee and me just hasn't really gotten along. Caffeine does not affect me like it affects everybody else. Kind of puts me to sleep. Makes me a little bit on the angry side because I would really like to have a little lift, you know. Took a trip cross country once. Took some NoDoz, thinking that was going to help me stay awake. It wore me out, put me to sleep. Just the opposite effect of what I wanted, you know. So don't do that. I mean, I can't do that, let's put it that way. There are those out there that are like me, that caffeine is just totally the opposite. And actually, I understand that ADHD or ADD, okay, my ex-husband, Joe, he was a hell on wheels when he was a little kid, I'm sure. I mean, I've heard stories that he was. And he, I don't know if he had ADHD or ADD, but nevertheless, when it came time for recess where the kids would go out and play, he'd go to the teacher's lounge and have a cup of coffee. That's what the doctor prescribed because his mother couldn't afford the medicine. And so the doctor just said, give him a cup of coffee. I don't know what his dose was, how often or whatever, but, and I do have ADD. No one's ever given me a diagnosis and put it in a record, but I do. We know that I do. And I was just reading a message I just got from my brother. Now my nose wants to run. Power of suggestion, Nathan. My poor brother. He's not doing so well. And my sister, Nancy, she's been sick for over a month with congestion. And I just get a wet nose. I mean, I'm not complaining. I would rather have just a wet nose than have the full-fledged problem. Believe me. At different times in my life, I have been plagued with allergies. Oh my God, when we lived in Utah, my allergies were bad. I think. Oh, I know why. I worked at that factory. I worked at a factory for 5 years. And for 5 years, I had the most horrendous allergies, really bad. And then I quit when I had my baby. Okay, I quit after 8 months. And the allergy went away. Oh my. Well, they used a bunch of glue. I think I was allergic to the glue that was being used. And I wasn't using the glue, but I was in a department of a lot of people, like 80 women. And they were putting needles together, syringes and stuff. I was dealing with the thing that covered the needle, that thing that goes in your vein. That's what I was doing. I was making it. See, this is the top of the tubing, okay, and it's square. And I was making it like that so that it would fit on the needle snug and go into your skin snug instead of did I make a good visual? I'm sorry. Here I am. I'm sweating to death already. I put on a long sleeve shirt because I was cold. And that's the thing. I just drank a little coffee too, but I'd be sweating now. I go over and put on that fan, I'll be freaking cold, way cold. Okay, I'm going to have to put on my glasses because I'm going to start reading Luke. And we might have the nativity right here. And so really I shouldn't be sniffing on the nose. If we wanted to just use it for the nativity. But I kind of can't help myself. I got the can't help it's. Okay, so we're going to go see what Luke 1 looks like. Lord have mercy. Oh my God. Well, I'm going to say that this has got to be the nativity one. I forgot to tell you how many verses there are. Let me just go back and look again. Come on. Craziness is what it is. It's not crazy. It's telling important stuff. So, 80. So there's 80 verses in Luke 1. Let's see what the synopsis says. The Gospel according to Saint Luke. So they're calling these guys saints. Okay, I'm just going to read the synopsis and then I'll figure out what I'm doing because I might just go ahead and let this stop and start over just having chapter 1. It says, Gabriel promises Zacharias that Elizabeth will bear a son, whom they will name John. He also tells Mary that she will be the mother of the Son of God. Mary visits Elizabeth and utters a psalm of praise. John the Baptist is born. Zacharias prophesies of John's mission. Huh. Okay. So it's going to be probably Luke 2 that's going to tell of his birth, because here's Luke 2's synopsis. Heavenly messengers herald the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem. He is circumcised, and Simeon and Anna prophesy of his mission. At 12 years of age, he goes about his father's business. See how many verses there are in there. 52. Okay. I don't know. I got so much to do that I think I'll just talk to you guys and then we'll do Luke separate because that's a lot of verses. And I think maybe I should not do a lot of talking besides what I'm putting on there. I can't seem to help myself. I'm a talker. If you haven't noticed that yet, I talk a lot. Cheers. And my coffee's too cold. I posted some videos this morning that are older. My Papa Bear was just buried not very long ago. I'm not exactly sure when. I think it was November 15th. That wasn't that long ago. You know, a month and about a half when Christmas is here. And so the videos I posted, there's 2 of them that they're pretty important to the members of the family, if nobody else. And I'm going to Dry my nose again. Please excuse me. You know, if I tried to not talk at supper when it's perfect, you know, it just wouldn't happen. And since I'm just talking, I can take these off. My Papa Bear lived to the ripe old age of 89. And when he fell and broke his hip, that started a series of events, and then that led to his death. But you know, old age leads to your death too. And he did live a very long and, I was going to say prosperous life, but he lived a long and glorious, we'll say, in the church. I mean, from the time he was baptized until he died, he was so strong in the church, okay? And so, us that know about the scriptures and not just know about them, but what they are meaning and the things, the big scheme of things, we will be glorified when everything's over. So I use that word. He's not really glorified, but I'm just saying, he spent his life in the church, which gives you so much growth and learning and experience, and just all of that goes for your growth, you know. I would say he was very faithful. He was a faithful member of Jesus Christ Church. He had many callings, and he magnified them well. Just like my patriarchal blessing said about me from the previous life. You know, there's going to be things going on. There's got to be people to run things and do things and teach people and la 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 la. There's just a whole lot. And when you come into the church, you're liable to be asked to teach a class or to do something, because we're all doing something to make, I don't know how to exactly say what I'm trying to say, but I get confused, and I'm going to say some stuff that might not be quite correct, so you guys just go ahead and figure out. And I'm not sure what I was going to say except for, okay, Jesus Christ is the groom, the bridegroom. I'm pretty sure his church is his bride. I mean, there's a real bride, I'm sure of that too. But I'm just saying, what am I saying? The church is his body. Maybe it is not his bride. But the point is, all the members of the church come into the body of Christ. That's what it is. And in order for the body of Christ to work, we all work together. And there's an organization, and there's a process, and there's things. There's things going on that you don't know. But no, I'm just telling you, the church is a wonderful, wonderful organization. And it does belong to Jesus Christ. And my father came into the church probably when he might have been 16, I'm not sure. But from then on, never did he fail to believe in God or put his faith in God. And he didn't have to have all the facts to believe. In other words, he would probably get upset with me a little bit because I always want more information. I want details. I want this and that, you know, and he just didn't need to know that. I mean, he read the scriptures all the time, but there were things I said to him that just he didn't know about. And then he would not understand me, and then he would, every once in a while, make fun of me. Or maybe not make fun of me, but he just didn't see the need for what I wanted. Like I talked to him once about Kolob. There were some other things, I just can't remember them right now, but there are things, like I said, levels. There's levels of understanding. And some people don't have to worry about that. You just come into the church and do your best. You don't have to be a master in the scriptures and stuff like that. Once upon a time, I never knew. And I'd be at church meetings, and I wasn't always going to church. But like I said, I did read the scriptures all the time. And I went to 4 years of seminary. And I didn't just go and pass with a C. I passed with an A plus. And I gave those teachers, the word that comes to mind is hell. But that's not the right word. But I asked a lot of questions. So I was an instrument because I is a vowel, okay? An instrument in God's hands because those teachers learned a lot. Because they couldn't teach us without learning. And they would have to go and look for the answers for me. But I'm just saying I learned a lot, and so did they. And like I've told you before, the teachers tend to learn more than the students because they're the ones getting prepared, and they prepare it all. And then when you're in the class, you only get a little bit of it. Because I experienced that too. I wanted to get it all in there, Perfectionist Mary Lou, I am. You wouldn't believe it, but I am a perfectionist. I probably have one of those things that they would call a disorder about compulsive blah, blah, blahs. I don't know what the name is. But yeah, I do like things done just the way I want it done. I have some idiosyncrasies. That's a good word. And it is true about most of us, I'm pretty sure, because nobody's perfect. We're here to experience life. But that doesn't mean you have to go out and experience every dadgum thing there is, because you're going to get hurt. And you're going to go cold. No, the church tries to protect you from all that stuff. We try to keep the family together, and we want to be Christ-like, and we try to not delve into things that you shouldn't ought to do. But our children, they grow up and they resent you, just like I grew up. And when you get a chance to get out from under mom and dad's thumb, you go out and do your own thing. And then you fall and break your nose, or fall and break your arm. And those are analogies, okay? Because the fall that I went through, it doesn't start, it starts, but it's not finished, the falling. I got married at 17. I learned a lot of lessons. I learned a lot of what I don't want. Seriously. I really did. And then you go on and on and on through each little thing. Meaning, first marriage, 6 years. Legally married 6 years, okay? Dated for 2 years. Couldn't call it dating. He lived across the street. We knew each other for 2 years before we got married. And it took me 2 years. I got married a year after we got divorced, but he was still there in my head. And all the hurt. And all kinds of things. So then I went through the second marriage. Oh my God. And then Joe was the third marriage. But there was 22 years. I think, anyway. There was at least 20 years between the last two husbands. Okay? And then I was with Joe. Actually, 16 years. And this year would have been 18. And I learned a lot more lessons. But what is my point? My point is the church is a way to protect you from the world. But our children grow up and they become their own selves, and they have to go out and try things. We don't want them to. And I know there's a lot of members of the church who have children that they're thinking, oh my God, what did I do wrong? But you know what? It wasn't that you did anything wrong. It's the fact that we came here to learn. And it's a natural process. By the time the child grows up, they are ready to get out of the house and be on their own. I mean, in their own mind, that's what they're thinking. Doesn't mean they're ready. And then I guess these days they call them the millennials. They want to stay forever. And I can't blame them either. I'd be staying with mom and dad if I could. You know what I'm saying? When I was young. However, I was right ready, raring and ready to get out of there. Because, not because it was bad, but because I just wanted my own freedom. But I really thought I was in love with this guy. So I didn't get married to get away from home. But I'm just saying, as far as going to church and sticking with your... I don't know what I'm trying to say. Sticking in the protection of the church, whatever. If you do what you're commanded, you know, then I really don't know what I'm trying to say, because here's the deal. You guys need to go back and... which one is it? Doggone it. I was going to say you need to go back and read one of my things. When you don't read it, you have me read it to you. But I can't remember which one it is now. Nevertheless, oh, it was the forbidden fruit one. Okay? It's got the wrong name on it, and I'm going to be changing the name. But go look. Put up in the search bar, forbidden fruit. On Lou's Touch. Always put on Lou's Touch, or you will not find me. You'll find a million other people. Okay, but Lou's Touch, L-O-U apostrophe S space T-O-U-C-H. That is my channel. Okay, so if you want to see anything that I wrote or I read, you need to put that on there, because I've already experienced that. You will not find me. Okay. I found that there's a lot of people reading the scriptures. I didn't know that either. I just, you know, it was kind of like a request. And it is the best way to teach about Jesus, probably to read the New Testament, because that's his book. Now, in the Old Testament, all the way through it, it talks about Jesus Christ. It talks about the Savior that's going to come into this world, and to be born of a virgin, Mary. And he's going to give his life a sacrifice for us, for our sins. Now, a lot of people don't even think they have sins. But we're all sinners. And we all have temptation. And we all have decisions to make. And then sometimes you be going along and you're doing really good, and then life hits you in the face. Things bring you down. How are you going to deal with it? That's the question. But later on in life, you find that you probably have done some sinning of one sort or another, whether it's being mean to your brother or your sister, or taking advantage of them, basically stealing from them. All kinds of things happen as you're growing through life, because temptation is here. It's a real deal. And Satan is real, people. He goes by many names. And you might not see his presence, but you might feel it if you're lost in the dark. That's where Satan wants you to be. And a lot of people might not even believe in him, but he's real, people. And it's not just him. He has got a third of the host of heaven. In other words, in the pre-existence, before this earth was, he was our brother. Jesus Christ is our oldest brother. He was the firstborn in the spirit. Firstborn child to our mother and father in heaven. And we are all his brother or sister. And Satan was one of them too, one of us. So I'm just saying, all the people who's ever lived on this earth, people that have bodies, have ever, and we're not done yet, but all the ones who've ever lived on the earth, that's only 2/3. When I say ever lived on the earth, it's going to be, like I said, all of them for the years to come too, until the second coming. All of those people comprises 2/3 of the spirits that were in heaven. 1/3 of the immense number of people, billions. So you take that and you realize that 1/3 of the host of heaven went with Satan. And they're here. And those little things on your shoulder that they tell you about probably are real. They might not be a little thing on your shoulder, but you might have companions going around with you, whispering in your ear that you don't even realize. Everything good comes from God, that's what they say. And everything bad comes from Satan and his followers, okay? Dark angels, light angels. Something to think about. We do have to overcome, and that means we will be tempted. And if you don't have a firm foundation, you might just go after that temptation. We're all going to. And then the next thing you know, you're in trouble. Or the next thing you know, your life is falling apart because of a decision you made. Or maybe you made one decision and that leads to more decisions, and you get lost down that little hole. Or big hole. You people out there, I know. You have to divide yourself, okay? If you don't need to hear what I got to say, it's okay. And you can hear what I got to say and just shrug it off, whatever. But for those of you who need it, and I think we all do, we need to know the reason we're here. Why are we here on this earth? And where are we going when we die? We're going back to God who made us. I read that to you out of Alma. I'm not sure if it was actually Alma that was telling his sons, but it probably was. He had we'll just say it was. He had a son that was, like I was just talking about, when it went the way of the world. And he could perceive that his son was worried. Where is he going to go when he leaves this earth? And so he asked of God, how to answer his question and stuff. And it says right in there that he was told by an angel. An angel appeared to him and told him, and it wasn't Satan, okay? He was told that we all go back to that God who gave us life. So when we die, we're going back to our Heavenly Father. Doesn't mean you're going to stay in the best place, but I don't think there's, I don't know. I just know there's a division. There's spirit prison, and there is paradise. And then we know there's outer darkness, and we know there's a bottomless pit, and all these things. But, maybe those are the spirits that came with Satan. They never got to come here and get a body. But then again, there's some pretty evil people on this earth. And I know everybody's going to get their up and comings. You got a chance while you're alive to change your life. But once you're dead, it's a little late, people. And a lot depends on how much you know, how much you went the wrong way. But I didn't know any better. Well, here's the thing. We're all born with the light of Christ in us. And we know when we're doing good or bad. So you can't say that you didn't know. You know in here what's right or wrong. So, like Santa Claus, he's making a list and checking it twice. He's gonna find out who's naughty or nice. Other words, he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Oh, you better watch out. Anyway, it's a correlation. And I'm just trying to share there is a reason for this life. You needed to come down here. You chose to come down here. Anybody who has ever been born on this earth chose to be here. They might not have quite chose the way they came here, because sometimes people come into the worst of circumstances, especially these days. They're lucky. They are lucky if they even get to come here, because so many people are aborting their babies. You know that's murder, right? It really is. And those of you who don't think it is, one day it's going to plague you, what you've done. I wish people would quit doing that. Realize there's so many families that could take your baby and give them a good home. Not just a home, but love as they grow. Very important. Nothing like being tossed aside. Nobody loves you. You hear about that all the time, these people that were adopted trying to find their parents and wondering why. Why did you throw me away? When a lot of times they were trying to protect them and give them a good life. But then I just had bad pictures in my head. Bad, bad, bad. Where do those babies go that are aborted? How can you people live with yourself? You doctors. I mean, there are things. There are things and reasons and necessities and all that stuff. There are reasons. But then there's those who just, they go out and they have sex and they throw the baby away. That's not the way to do it, people. You better think about it. Not only are you committing the worst sin, murder, you're losing your babies. And maybe that was your best friend in the pre-existence, and they were coming down to be in your family. But you threw them away. I know. You guys will just have to, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to listen to me. But it is the truth. And we will pay for what we do today. I wrote that in a paper too. Be careful what you do and say, because it will find its way back to you. Anyway, people, I didn't mean to get on that downtrodden thing, but it is the deal with sex. Oh yeah, everybody go willy-nilly having sex and then throw the babies away? No problem. See, that's why you're not supposed to do that. Having sex should be... I know, I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying that I am, and I've done all kinds of things, and I'm hoping God will forgive me for. And you have natural consequences for your actions. Natural consequences, not cool. But find yourself headed for a bunch of heartbreak. And hearts do wax cold. And when they lose trust, they don't have trust in people anymore. The walls of protection that they build up, like the beauty of the rose, my paper that I wrote, and I read it on here. And I'm telling you, you guys all should go read it. Go listen to it and realize that you are the rose. Every one of us is the rose. To whoever reads it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's an analogy of a rose bush. And that poor, beautiful, gorgeous, full of aroma rose is hidden down in that rose bush, surrounded by all this stuff, the stuff that got all entwined in the branches and in the bush. And it was kind of pretty a little bit at the beginning, but it was nothing like the rose. You know, it had its own beauty, but it was nothing like the rose. And I compared it to the celestial kingdom, the terrestrial kingdom, and the celestial kingdom. You can be happy with what you got. I mean, some people can be happy with what they got, but if they know what they could have had, then they're going to be miserable. It's a good analogy. Some of you out there won't understand about those kingdoms because that's part of the plan of salvation. And it comes after the millennium, and the millennium is next. When Jesus comes again, he's he's ushering in the millennium, which is 1,000 years where Jesus will reign. And the lion and the lamb will lay down together. And all the animals, the carnivores and stuff, they're going to start eating grass. They won't be eating meat, flesh, anymore. Like the lion is not going to want to eat that lamb. There's probably other analogies you can put in with that. But any old who, you guys just let your minds go crazy exploring things because there's a lot to be had. And you know, I used to think that you couldn't be forgiven for murder. But you can. But it's probably a hard path to take. But still, you can denounce ever sinning again like that. You can bare your heart and soul to God and ask for forgiveness. I'm not saying you guys are just lost, but you need to realize what you're doing. Don't do it anymore. You know, there's a difference between being raped and then there's a child. I would think, this is my own opinion, okay? But I would think, especially nowadays, they have that day after pill. So the baby's not even been formed yet on the day after, okay? Because the little spermies have got to get all the way up, then they got to go over here and they got to go over there, and it's going to take them just a little bit of time to get up to the egg. So you can take that day after pill and it will spermicide, kill the sperm. So there isn't a baby formed. So that is not abortion. That is prevention. But even so, because a lot of people are not going to come forth and tell that they were raped or tell that their father raped them. You know, there's a lot of that incest stuff going on. These poor little children being ravaged by someone who's supposed to love them as their own. Some of you men kind of get confused. And then there's that temptation too, I guess. I don't know. So, rape, incest, retardation. These might be some of the things that are excusable. But do it immediately. Immediately. You don't wait. I can't believe that they, I shouldn't even get off on this subject. My goodness. I just have heard of it. I've seen it on TV. Of course, you can't believe everything you see on TV, but I believe this. they talk about laws, these abortion laws. They've got it where they can go in and take the baby at 8 months, 9 months. I mean, even, I don't know if it's even as birth happens. They leave them over on the table to die. They don't give them sustenance. They don't help them to live. They let them die. You don't think that's murder, people? That's a person. It is not yours to throw away. It is not really yours to decide to throw it away. You need to take care of things immediately. And you know what? I'm going to talk about this a little bit. The abortion problem, the situation with people making it a law or whatever. Okay. One of the big deals is you people out there think that all of America should be paying for your abortion. Nuh-uh. What's wrong with you people? You're going to go do that? You take care of it yourself. We shouldn't have to pay for it. That is what the big deal is, because all those are being paid for. But guess who? All of us. You think that's right? You know, like I said, those cases I just talked about, and if you go in and you take care of business right away and stuff, then that might be a different story. But not just belligerently going out and having babies, or going out and having sex and then killing the babies. Okay? That's a different story. And we, all of us, should not have to pay your bills. And then you've got to worry about your own conscience. You and that doctor. You and those who do that. That's your sin to bear, not ours. But it is not ours to pay for. Understand? This stuff about, there's so much that goes with that. I don't know what the name of it is, you know. And it just pops in my head. Child Protective Services. What the hell? You're not going to protect those children? You understand me? There's a certain group of people that's doing that all over America, all over every little community. It's disgusting. I wouldn't want that job. I certainly wouldn't do that job. I know. I didn't mean to go there, but I think sometimes we need to think about that. So, it is yours to do, it is your sin to bear, and it is your punishment that will happen. But in the meantime, with these laws of, oh, it's my body, I have a right. Well, bullshit, you don't. Don't have sex. And if you're raped, yes, get rid of it. Especially incest. It's disgusting. I'm trying to remember the name of it. You know, it's has to do with birth control. And all the services that you can have done with this clinic. And I'm not talking about abortion, but I think they're in the same. In other words, you go in there to prevent pregnancy. You go in there to get on birth control so that at least if something happens, you are not having a baby. And then even with birth control, you know, there's accidental pregnancies with birth control. And then you can forget to take your pill or this or that, you know. But the point is that it's a very valuable service, but not the part where you kill the babies. You prevent the pregnancy. And the day after pill, I think, is okay. Because it has not even, the sperm has not even gotten to the egg. It doesn't happen immediately. It takes a little while to get there, but not long. So I think it should be taught that if that happens, you know. I don't know. You hate to put your children on birth control, and then they think, oh, we're fine. We can just do anything we want. No. It's not okay. So what are those? What is that clinic called? Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood. So you plan to be a parent and you stop that pregnancy thing if you can. And you know that there's so much shame involved with being raped, especially as a child. And what if it is your father and your mother doesn't believe you? And there you are getting abused day after day after day, and your mother doesn't believe you. In fact, she hates you because you dared to say something bad against her man. Okay, such a sad, sad tale. But see, then you hear about Planned Parenthood and the different things. Like, what are they doing with those babies? The aborted babies. They're selling them. They're using body parts. Stem cells. So tell me there's not some people harvesting babies just for that. So that's a horrible thing. No, I'm sorry I even brought it up, but it just came out. So let's protect our children. And you people out there, you think you got a right to do what you're doing? Well, that's your business. And the doctor who does its business. But when you make us pay for it, it is our business. You understand? Thousands and thousands of babies are being aborted. Those children are supposed to be born unless they are of. So you're not supposed to have sex until you're married. That's the whole deal. and it's not just when you're married. You want to plan on being a parent. You want to love your husband and wife. You want to have a good relationship of love. And then you want to be able, not just be able, you want to love that child. You've co-created with God, because the spirit that's coming down, God created. And He's allowing you to be here. And He's allowing you to procreate. That's part of life. But it needs to be taken seriously. In the old days, they wore chastity belts. I wonder how that works. I really do, because I don't know. There are times when you just want to lock them up, and that's one way of doing it, right? But that would be awful messy, awful caca. I can't even imagine it. All right, so I started out with the New Testament and ended up where I'm at. I'm sorry. And I've already, how long have it been? 48 minutes? It's time to go. I gotta do some stuff. I keep saying it, and the next thing you know, it's gonna be time to go, and I'm not gonna be ready. I don't want to pay for a storage locker. I don't. So you get down to where you don't need anything. That's what you learn. Who was it? Started to say the patience of Job, they say. Wasn't he the one that lost everything? I don't know what all happened with Job. I don't think I want to learn, but I know that's one of the expressions from the Bible, the patience of Job. It was like he was being tested, and tested, and I didn't like those tests. I don't know. I'm going to get off that subject. So, we don't know all. We have no clue about all the reasons, for different things. We can only kind of think about it. I need to go eat. I know I say that a lot on here because I'm not good at eating until it's too late. And then I went and had coffee and it had some sugar in it, okay? So, it's screwing with my head. All up here and all in here. part of the human experience. Hunger. Hunger and pain. Happiness we will gain. I'm hoping that before I'm gone, I will experience that most wonderful thing. What is that? True love. True love, like I said in Princess Bride. But really, to love someone so much and to be loved by that someone so much, I think is probably the greatest joy. Maybe I'm just thinking it, maybe it's not true. But I'm going to tell you people, I know, I'll tell you a lot of things. If you want to experience the greatest joy in this life, then you need to do some things. First of all, quit making bad decisions on who you're going to marry. Because it takes you out of the running. You marry the wrong person, there you are. You're stuck, you're unhappy. Everybody knows you're taken. So there could be your eternal companion right over there that can't even get to you, and you can't even see him because you made a bad choice. I made a lot of them. I've made more than my fair share of bad choices, and I'm trying not to do that anymore, but I can still do it just because I want something so bad. That's where that temptation is, you know. But I'm feeling the love. And I hope to be able to follow that trail to ecstasy. Not, I don't even know how you take ecstasy. I've never taken it, okay? But I'm saying to feel that. To feel the most wonderful thing in life before I die. You know, I was reading to you guys out of my patriarchal blessing the other day, and it is true. It said, there will come a time. So, my whole life. Anyway, I'm hoping that I've come to that time, and I'm going to have my eternal companion, and I'm going to be so in love, and so looking forward to the eternities with this person. Think about it. I'm going to give you guys a little visual. I don't think I have it right here. Let me go get it real quick. Okay. All right. It's just a visual. You see this piece of paper? I'm not talking about what's on it. I'm talking about, see how thin it is? You want to take forever space, and you want to slide this in like a little bookshelf, a book on a bookshelf. This is how long your life is on this earth compared to eternity. If you had just a massive long ways to go and you slide this in, like it's a whole bunch of these little pieces of paper, this little thin thing is how long your life is. Although it seems really long sometimes. That's where time is elusive. It's forever. You just don't have forever here on earth. And you do have things that you need to do. And I'm talking to myself too, I'm not just being a holier than thou. because I'm not. I know that I try to make good choices, and I know I've made my fair share of bad ones, and I hope that I don't make any more. But you know, that's life. That's life. There's a song trying to form in my head, but it's an old one, and it's not one that I would really actually listen to, so I don't know the words. That's right. That's what all the people say. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. I don't know it. Anyway, the whole point is, people, your life has a purpose. And no matter where you're at right now, as long as you're alive, you got a way. You have a time to change. But you need to do it here so that you can get on the right road. You know that straight and narrow path that I told you about in that Lehi's vision? You got the tree of life just over there. You can't see it because there's all this darkness, this mist of darkness that you cannot see through. And all that temptation and crap. And then you've got all these people over here making fun of you. So you worry about that. You shouldn't worry about that. But you grab onto the iron rod. You grab onto the iron rod and you stay on the path. And then you finally get through that mist. And there's the tree of life. The gospel is the fruit on that tree. And you need it. Okay? That's enough of that. We're at 57 minutes, so I'm almost to an hour. I've got to get these pack things going on. I'm not good at packing. I don't like it. And I worry. Not worry, but I was thinking about the people with the handcart companies that were forced out. The people that were members of the church in the early days were forced out at gunpoint in the middle of the night with snow on the ground. They didn't have time to do nothing. They're out there barefooted walking in the snow because of, you know, the words I want to use. I'm sure they're going to get their up and comings. But I don't know, because we always have a chance to change. It's just real hard to do. And sometimes you cannot see past your nose. The handcart companies had a little bit more time because they were building handcarts so that people could leave, okay? And so what did you do? You had to take your bare nubbins. You didn't have a lot of room to take things, and you're traveling across the frickin' country. You didn't have room for your coats and your blankets and your shoes and your all that stuff. You had to take provisions so you had something to eat. And then they planted food along the way. But I mean, there's so many things about the early members of the church. Oh my God, they went through so much. Because of Lucifer. Mean, 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 mean Lucifer. Okay, so we gonna say goodbye. I do need to get busy. And I do want to read out of Mark. Mark. No, I'm going to pass up Mark. I'm going to read Luke. Then I'll go back to Mark later. I do. I need some help. I need a friend. I need a friend, a buddy. Come and help me pack up, help me get in my car and drive away. I hear it's been fairly warm across the country, but I've also seen 5 and 6 inches of snow somewhere. That might have been in Mount Hood, though. You know, the higher up you get in the mountains, you're going to get snow. But I've got to go. I got to go eat. So I'm going to wait. No, I shouldn't do that, but I'm going to wait for my 33. But it's coming real quick. So, Merry Christmas to you people. I'm sorry that my messages sometimes get astray, but maybe they didn't. Some people need to hear what I've got to say, whether they like it or not. Nobody likes to be told they're doing wrong. But I know that you people know it. Unless you're so cold-hearted, you can't feel it. I've got to go now because my numbers are coming.